Welcome to another lab in Network Support Services, Windows Networking. I will be hosting this lab in Hyper-V. You as the student will follow along, answering all questions and taking the appropriate screenshots as shown in your worksheet. So let's begin. 70-740 Lab 16, Implementing Storage Spaces Direct. So in this lab, we're going to be, of course, having our domain controller running, which is already up and going. We're also going to be working with our SVR 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get all three of them started right now. Now, when we are doing this lab, we're going to be implementing a hyper-converged storage spaces direct scenario. And then we'll wrap it up with resetting our servers. This shouldn't be too long a lab. Our first exercise is going to be implementing a disaggregated storage spaces direct scenario. We're going to create a disaggregated storage spaces direct system that consists of 3 servers and multiple local drives. Storage Spaces Direct uses industry standard servers with local attached drives to create highly available, highly scalable, software-defined storage at a fraction of the cost of a traditional SAN or NAS array. Disaggregated storage space allows you to create a cluster for the disks and then also create a scale-out file server that uses Storage Spaces Direct. So let's begin by connecting to our SVR1. We'll go ahead and we're going to get logged on. Now I've created a new logon that is a user account that goes by the username sadmin. And it's our system administrator account. So in this way I can disable the administrator account, which everyone wants to hack, right? That's the prime target. What I encourage you to do is come up with a username that is abstract and a complex long password for any type of administrative credentials in production. Now, we've already got the failover cluster manager installed. We've already got file server installed. So we don't need to do that, but we might need to do that on our other servers. Well, I know that our second server, it has that installed because we've been working with clustering. We've been doing various exercises. I'm going to go ahead and get logged in over here as well. But I do know that we need to install those roles on SVR3. So we are going to go ahead and I double clicked on that, so we'll get rid of that and we'll click on there to bring up that enhanced session. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to log in again over here. So we've got all 3 of our servers up and running. Like I said, we know those roles and features and such are installed on 1 and 2, but we need to do it on 3. Now we could do this from Server Manager and go manage, add, remove roles and add roles and features and next and next and next and next. You know what? Let's save ourselves some time and I'm just going to do it in PowerShell. It's important that we learn how to navigate and do our work in PowerShell. We can use the invoke command with computer name, and our name is lun-svr3, and then we're going to give it a script block. And I'm using the tab complete to make this easy on myself. We're going to then do install Windows feature. We can still tab complete. We do a dash name, a space. We're going to do file hyphen services, a comma, fail, helps if I type correctly, failover hyphen clustering. And then we're going to do a dash include management tools right there. And then we're going to close that with our little curly brackets and press enter. Ooh, what did I do wrong? Well, let me take a look at this. I know what I did wrong. I didn't use an admin PowerShell. I'm going to go in here. Let's see, can we copy this? I'm going to close that PowerShell. We're going to open back up. We're going to do another one. We're going to run as administrator. Going to right click and paste. Now it should work. There it goes. So this shouldn't take too long. Let's sit back and enjoy the show. But we can do all we need to from PowerShell. It says we need to restart. Well, do we need to click start and the power button? Oh no, we can just type shutdown. Well, helps if you type correctly, right? With a restart with a time of 0 seconds. In other words, restart now. When this comes back up, we'll have those same features installed that we've got over on SVR 1 and 2. Now, if we needed to, we could have run that same command with a computer name of lun-svr1, do it again with lun-svr2, and we wouldn't have had to change servers. We could have done that all from one server. Let's get logged back in. Okay, our server 3 is up, and what I realized was I skipped a step, and that was that I wanted each of you to take a screenshot. So what I did was I went back in time and I captured a screen of the installation showing the PowerShell completing, and I'm going to put that up on the screen right now, and I'd like everyone to go ahead and take a screenshot of that once I put it up, and then that can go into your worksheet. So give me 1 second. Okay, so here is that screenshot. So if you would go ahead, take a screenshot, paste that into step number 6 in your worksheet. All right, you can pause the video. I'm going to go ahead and close that screen capture. All right, so we're back over here with our 3 servers running. So the next thing that we want to do is I'm going to jump over to SVR1, and we'll probably do the rest of the work from this. We'll open up a admin PowerShell there. So we're going to test our cluster validation from PowerShell. And we're going to do that by issuing the test cluster command. And here we are. We can use our tab complete. Helps to eliminate spelling errors, right? We're going to do lun-svr1, a comma, lun-svr2, a comma, lun-svr3. We're then going to specify to include, and this will be the tests that we want to include. We're going to do storage spaces direct, and remember you got to close that in quotes or it thinks it's 3 different commands. We'll then do inventory, network, as well as system configuration. That should be everything. Let's see if it works. There we go. It's testing our 3 nodes. It's going to make sure everything functions properly. Now, I was thinking about this. Now, we're not testing for Hyper-V, So we shouldn't get a validation error from that because we've got Hyper-V installed on server 1 and server 2, but not 3. Let's see if we finish. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video while it continues to run. And as soon as it's done, we'll come back. There's no reason for you to sit here and watch just a little progression across the screen if it's going to take a couple minutes. Be back shortly. Okay, and it only took maybe another 20 seconds longer or so, but that's 20 seconds out of your life, right? It did complete. Now, we did not get any warnings, and there is a test validation report. Don't see any errors, don't see any notifications. Um, they want us to answer our first question. That's what's the test result. I'm going to say success. So type in success for the answer to question number 1. So let's go ahead, and in our next step, what we're going to do is we're going to create the cluster without any storage. And we're going to do that by issuing the new cluster command. We're going to give it a name, and we're going to call our new cluster S2DCLUSTER. We're going to include our nodes, and those nodes, of course, are our 3 servers. We're then going to issue the no storage command. We want to create it without any storage at this time. Now remember, our cluster, it has to be addressable, right? We're giving it a name, S2D cluster. We also have to assign an IP address. So we're going to do static address. And that static address is going to be 172.16.0.40. Let's hit enter. There it goes, starts to configure it. Here again, this could take a minute or two, so unless I see an error, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and I'll rejoin as soon as we're completed. Okay, and it's continuing on. I just want to jump back in here in the video just to show you that it's still continuing. Took her a minute or two for it to progress from that first part. Now it's continuing to create resource types. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pause the video again. Here again, this could take a couple minutes. No need for us to just simply sit here and stare at a screen. I'll be back in a moment. Okay, and it took about another 30-45 seconds and it's done, and it created the IP address. I saw that happen. You say, well, why can't we just bring up the cluster manager and type the stuff in? Well, you know what? The less times you need to log into a server, the better. The less times that you or anyone physically access a server, that's a better security profile. Depending on where you're working, depending on your organization, they may say, you know what? Unless it's absolutely necessary, you don't log into the server. Well, using this, we could be setting anywhere. If we've got the credentials, we could issue this command from any computer and create that cluster. This is why it's important for us to understand these PowerShell commands. So let's go ahead, and now we're going to enable storage spaces direct. We're going to use the enable cluster 2D command. And we're going to do cache state. Oh, for some reason my mouse decided my keyboard's not responding. My mouse is still working. Oh, there it goes. It's just a little slow. Okay, there's cache stat. What we're looking for is cache state. There we are. And it's going to be disabled. we're going to do auto config, and it's going to be with a :0. We're going to tell it to skip eligibility checks, and we're also going to do a -confirm with a $false. So in other words, this is going to do it, and we won't have to confirm our actions. I'm going to hit enter. There it goes. We'll see how long this takes. We're running through a couple checks. It's accessing that physical storage. It's claiming the physical disks. There's node 1, node 2, node 3. Here we go. Continuing on, starting our health providers. Lots of good things going on here. And we're done. So our storage spaces direct has been enabled. So now what we want to do is we want to create our storage pool, because we're going to be working with it. We want to create that storage pool that is going to be accessed. Storage with a P will be storage pool. There we are. And we're going to create storage subsystem. And let's see, we want to do storage subsystem name. I think I typed right past it. Let's go back. Storage subsystem name. There we are. And what was that name? It was S2D cluster, right? And here we need to give it the fully qualified a name. So we're going to type in a datum.com after that. We're going to do another space. And now we need to give a friendly name for the name of the storage pool. So we're going to issue the friendly name, and it will be S2D storage pool. I'm going to do another space, and now we need to tell the type of provisioning type. Provisioning type default is going to be fixed. Now we're going to tell it what type of resiliency we want to use. And this is resiliency setting name default. We're going to do a mirror. And now we need to issue physical disks. Now they're saying physical disk in the command, but when I did a tab complete, it went to physical disk. So I'm going to leave it like that. If we have an error, we'll cover that if we get it. So we're going to do a get storage subsystem. And here again, we can tab complete. And lots of things there. So I'm just going to do an S subsystem right there. And we're going to do a name. And that name is S2D cluster .datum.com. We're going to do a pipe and a get physical disk. And then we're going to close that. And let's run it. And we're done. We created our storage pool. And we can see our storage pool allocated sizes 2¼ gig. We've got 283 gig to pull from though. Okay, let's create our virtual disk. We need to do a new volume. And here again, we're going to do storage pool friendly name. And it's going to be S2D storage pool, a space, and then a friendly name. And that friendly name is we're We're just going to use CSV for cluster shared volume. We need to tell what type of file system do we want to create. Let me move that cursor out of the way for you. The file system is going to be a CSVFS underscore REFS. Remember resilient file system? We got to say file. We're going to define a file size. The size of this virtual disk that we're going to, of this volume that we're going to create, the size of the volume we're going to create is going to be 50 GB. We're going to press enter. We're creating that virtual disk. We're creating the volume. Should finish here in just a moment. And there it is. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to issue the command new storage file server. Space with a hyphen storage subsystem. System name. And again, that's S2D cluster. .datum.com. We're going to do another space. Here again, a friendly name. And we're going to call it S2D hyphen SOFS. S2D dash SOFS. We need to give it a host name. And that host name will be the same, S2D-SOFS, another space. We issue protocols, and the protocol we're going to use is SMB, and press enter. We can see that being created. Should have a run time of a minute or two. I'm going to pause this while it completes. Well, I was wrong. It was more like 30 seconds. It's done. Our last couple commands. Now you can't see that. Let me move this up. There's our prompted. We're going to make a directory. So we're going to issue the MD command. And that's going to be C:\/ cluster storage / volume1 / VM01. And we'll close those quotes out and hit enter. Didn't like it. Let me see if I can figure out why it didn't like it. Okay, let's try issuing that command again. We're going to do MD. We're going to go C:\cluster storage. And now they want us to make a file share of volume 1. Well, volume 1 doesn't exist, I don't think. Yeah, I didn't think so. I don't think that's going to be successful. Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay, well I know there is storage there. So let's do this. We can create it here. I'm going to do VM01. There it is. Okay, made the directory. Now we're going to do a new SMB share. With a name of VM01. We need to specify the path to it. It's going to be that same path we were just on. C:\/ cluster storage. There's our path. We're going to give full access to a datum slash administrator, and press enter. There is our new SMB share. Now let's set a path. Set-SMB path, access control list for the share name of VM01. Okay, now we're going to go ahead, we're going to exit out of our PowerShell. We are going to jump into our cluster manager. There is that cluster that we created. There is our role that we created. There are the nodes that are included in it. Let's take a look at storage. There's our disks. Everything looks good. All right, take a screenshot, paste that into step number 17. Let's go ahead and click on roles, and we're going to answer our second question of our worksheet, and that is what type of role is installed. Well, right there's your type. Answer to question 2 obviously is scale out file server. Okay, so now what we're going to do is take a look under disks, and we can see the disks that we've created for our storage. They're right here. Our partition style, our number of disks. I'm going to go ahead and maximize this. There is our storage. Go ahead and get a screenshot of this and paste that into step number 20. We're going to go back up. We're going to select the nodes. We can see our 3 nodes that we already did. And we are done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to reset our servers. So in this exercise, we're going to delete the cluster that we just made. We're going to remove those computer accounts created for the cluster. And then finally, we're going to remove the failover clustering feature from SVR3. In our next lab up, we're going to be using load balancing. So to be able to do that, we need to remove the failover clustering feature. So this is going to be prepping our environment for our next lesson on lab after lab 16. So what we're going to do is on our SVR1, we're going to select the roles, and we're going to right click on our scale out file server, and we're going to select remove. Are you sure you want to remove it? Yes, we do. So our role has been removed. Now, what was that error message that we got? Well, that's what we need to answer in our question number 3. When the remove scale out file server message box appears, what was that message that we were warned about? We were warned that it contains 1 or more client access points, and that when we delete those, it does not remove the associated Active Directory accounts. So your answer to question 3 is it contains 1 or more client access points, and deleting them will not remove them from Active Directory. Type the answer into question number 3. And what was it referencing? What was that account that it referenced? I'm going to show you the account. Let's jump over to our domain controller. This is what they're talking about. When we created that cluster, we created some accounts. So here on our server manager, let's go ahead and we're going to go Active Directory users and computers, ADUC. We're going to expand to datum. We're going to select computers. Right there. computer account that was created for that cluster. Also the S2D cluster. There's cleanup that needs to be done afterwards. Once you remove that cluster, the associated Active Directory accounts still exist. So, the active account that the warning's referencing, this is your answer for question number 4. S2D-SOFS. Answer for question 4, S2D-SOFS. Now, let's go ahead. We're going to right-click on the S2D cluster.adatum.com. We're going to go to More Actions, and yep, we're going to destroy the cluster. Yes, we do. Once our cluster has been removed, we should have an open screen here in the middle. It's going to take just a few more moments. Once the destroying the cluster completes, we're going to do our next to last screenshot. And we're just about done. And there we are. Okay, so take a screenshot, paste this into step number 5 in our lab challenge. So let's go back into our domain controller and we're going to clean up those accounts. Here's our domain controller. We'll open up our ADUC again. There we are. What we're going to do is we're going to right click on the S2D-SOFS. We're going to right click on it and delete. We're going to say yes. Our S2D cluster, we're also going to right click on it and delete. And click yes. Go ahead and take a screenshot, paste it into step number 12. Okay, got that screenshot. I'm going to minimize our domain controller. And now what we're going to do is we're going to jump over to our SVR3 because we still have some cleanup to do there. We're going to go over and we're going to do Manage, Remove Roles and Features. We're going to click Next. We're going to work on SVR3. We're going to click Next. We're going to click Next, and we're going to remove the failover clustering feature. Next, and remove. Once this is done, I'll be rebooting our SVR3 to finish its cleanup. Our lab is complete. Thank you for reviewing Lab 16 and 70-740. Be sure to save your work in your worksheets and get it submitted to Dropbox. I'll see you all in the next lab or lesson.